You opened your phone this morning and saw someone your age closing on their second property. Another one got promoted again. Someone else just announced their engagement. And you felt that familiar tightness in your chest, that quiet voice asking what is fundamentally wrong with you. You are not jealous. You are something worse. You are convinced you are behind, that everyone received instructions you never got, that time moves differently for them than it does for you. Here is what no one will tell you. That feeling is not an accident. It is the result of accepting timelines you never consciously chose, absorbing other people's definitions of progress until they became your private torture device. And the longer you carry this belief, the more it paralyzes every decision you try to make. Machiavelli understood something 5 centuries ago that you are only now beginning to feel. The appearance of success matters more than success itself. And you have been measuring yourself against curated performances instead of hidden realities. The problem is not that you are failing. The problem is that you believe there is a universal clock running in the background of life, and yours is broken. You scroll through feeds and see edited highlight reels, perfect moments, stripped of context, struggle, and private doubt. Your brain does not recognize these as performances. It treats them as evidence that everyone else figured out the map while you are still trying to orient yourself. This creates a constant background hum of inadequacy. You show up to work. You maintain relationships. You function. But inside, there is a quiet panic ticking away, comparing your unfinished reality to everyone else's polished facade. The cruel part is this: the more behind you feel, the harder it becomes to move. Your nervous system interprets the gap between where you are and where you think you should be as a low-grade threat. Decisions feel heavier. Risks feel dangerous. Rest feels undeserved. So you freeze, not from laziness but from overload. You are constantly rehearsing alternative lives where you started earlier, chose better, knew sooner. And your mind experiences these thoughts not as imagination, but as loss. What you do not yet understand is that this entire framework is a trap, one built from borrowed expectations and maintained by your willingness to measure worth by velocity instead of alignment. Niccolò Machiavelli spent his life studying power, and one of his coldest observations was this: people judge by appearances, not by reality. They respond to what they see, not to what is true. The person who looks stable commands more respect than the person who is quietly building something real. The person who appears confident is treated as capable, even when they are faking it. This is the world you actually live in, not the fair one you were promised. Machiavelli also understood that fortune and timing are brutal forces, but they do not control you unless you let them. He wrote that the prepared mind bends fortune to its will, while the unprepared mind gets crushed by it. In this video, you are going to see 5 Machiavellian frameworks that will show you how to handle the feeling of being behind without turning yourself into a desperate, approval-seeking ghost. These are not about faking success. They are about understanding the mechanics of perception, the psychology of comparison, and the strategic use of your own narrative. You are going to learn how to stop measuring yourself against other people's timelines and start controlling the one measure that actually matters: how you are seen and how you see yourself. No one. Controlled visibility. Most people who feel behind make the same mistake. They either hide completely or over-explain their situation to anyone who asks. Both responses bleed power. Machiavelli understood that what you reveal determines how you are judged, and judgment determines how you are treated. If you broadcast uncertainty, people interpret it as incompetence. If you disappear, they assume failure. The solution is not honesty or deception. It is calculated opacity. You control what others see, not to lie but to protect your position while you build it. People do not need to know you are figuring things out. They do not need to know you are questioning your path. They need to see that you are moving with purpose, even when that purpose is still forming. Machiavelli would tell you that the appearance of direction is more valuable than the explanation of doubt. In his world, the prince who looked weak was immediately tested by rivals. In yours, the person who looks uncertain is immediately dismissed by employers, partners, and peers. This is not about morality. This is about mechanics. Here is what the old version of you does. Someone asks where you are in life, and you give them the full story, the doubts, the delays, the reasons why you are not where you thought you would be. You think honesty will earn you understanding. Instead, you hand them a narrative of stagnation, and they file you away as someone who is stuck. Now here is the same moment with controlled visibility. They ask the same question. You give them a clean, forward-facing answer. You mention what you are working on, not what you are worried about. You talk about the direction, not the speed. You do not lie. You just refuse to offer them your internal audit. The conversation ends, and they leave thinking you are on a path, not lost in the woods. The difference is not in your actual situation. The difference is in what you let them see. The instruction is this: stop giving people access to your doubts. When someone asks about your life, give them a version that is true, but strategically edited. Mention projects, not problems. Talk about what you are building, not what you have not achieved yet. This is not fake confidence. This is information control, and it protects you while you move. No. 2. The rejection of borrowed timelines. You are carrying a set of deadlines in your head that you never agreed to. By this age, you should be married. By that age, you should own property. By now, you should have a certain title, a certain income, a certain life structure. These timelines did not come from your own reflection. They came from family expectations, cultural norms, social media algorithms, and stories you absorbed as a child. Machiavelli would see this immediately as a failure of sovereignty. You are letting other people's definitions of success govern your internal state. In his terms, you are a state ruled by foreign powers, and as long as you measure yourself by their standards, you will always feel defeated because the standards were not built for your reality. They were built for an imagined average that does not exist. Machiavellian logic says that the prince must define his own territory and his own rules. He does not accept the legitimacy of claims made by outsiders. You must do the same with timelines. The person who feels behind is almost always the person who is trying to live someone else's script while pretending it is their own. Machiavelli understood that power begins with the refusal to be judged by irrelevant metrics. If you are judged by a system you never chose, you are already controlled. The modern version of this is simpler, but just as brutal. Every time you scroll past someone else's milestone and feel that tightness in your chest, you are submitting to their timeline as if it were universal law. It is not. It is just visibility bias dressed up as truth. Here is the old version. You see an engagement announcement from someone your age. Your mind immediately runs the calculation. They are moving forward. You are standing still. You feel the gap widen. You start questioning everything you have done. You spiral. Here is the same moment with sovereign timing. You see the announcement. You recognize it as one data point in one person's life, not a referendum on yours. You do not compare timelines. You ask a different question. Does that path align with what I actually want? Or am I just reacting to the appearance of progress? Most of the time, the answer is the latter. You are not behind their path. You are on a different one, and pretending otherwise only creates false urgency. The instruction is this: write down the 3 timelines you are currently judging yourself against. Then ask yourself, did I choose this deadline, or did I absorb it? If you did not choose it, you do not have to obey it. Reject it consciously, and replace it with a timeline that reflects your actual circumstances, values, and capacity. No. 3. Strategic patience as a weapon. Machiavelli wrote that fortune favors the bold, but he also knew that reckless action born from desperation destroys more princes than patience ever did. The person who feels behind often makes decisions out of panic. They rush into relationships to feel normal. They take jobs they hate to appear stable. They commit to paths that do not fit just to stop feeling left out. This is urgency-driven behavior, and it rarely leads anywhere worth going. Machiavelli would recognize this as the error of acting without preparation. The prince who moves before he is ready loses the advantage. The prince who waits until the moment aligns with his resources wins territories that others cannot hold. You are being pressured to move fast because speed looks like progress. But speed without direction is just noise. Strategic patience is not the same as passivity. It is the deliberate choice to move only when movement serves you, not when it calms your anxiety. The modern world punishes visible patience. Reflection does not photograph well. Inner work does not trend. Waiting for alignment instead of chasing speed makes you look like you are doing nothing. But Machiavelli would tell you that the appearance of doing nothing is often more powerful than the reality of doing everything badly. The prince who seems inactive but is quietly securing alliances, studying terrain, and waiting for the right moment will outlast the prince who charges into every battle just to prove he is brave. Your version of this is refusing to make life decisions just because other people are moving. It is choosing depth over performance. It is letting others sprint while you build a foundation that will not collapse under pressure. Here is the old version. You feel the urgency. Everyone else is getting married, so you force a relationship that does not fit. Everyone else is buying property, so you stretch yourself financially beyond reason. Everyone else has a clear career, so you commit to a path you do not believe in. You move fast, and 5 years later, you are trapped in a life you have to escape from. Here is the same pressure with strategic patience. You feel the urgency, but you do not obey it. You recognize it as social pressure, not actual necessity. You wait. You keep building quietly. You let others rush, and you move only when you have clarity, resources, and alignment. 10 years later, they are stuck in structures they built too fast. You are in a life you actually chose. The instruction is this: identify one decision you are being pressured to make right now, just to feel like you are catching up. Do not make it yet. Give yourself 90 days to sit with it, study it, and see if the urgency fades. If it does, it was never your decision. It was borrowed panic. Number 4, the appearance of momentum. Machiavelli knew that perception shapes reality more than reality shapes perception. If people believe you are rising, they treat you as if you already have. If they believe you are stuck, they dismiss you before you even speak. This is why he advised princes to control their images carefully as they controlled their armies. The same applies to you. Even when you are still figuring things out, you cannot afford to look directionless. The person who appears to be moving with intent is given opportunities. The person who looks lost is ignored. This does not mean you fake success. It means you frame your current position as part of a larger trajectory, not as a dead end. You are not behind. You are in a phase. And phases, when named clearly, sound like strategy instead of failure. The mechanics are simple. When you talk about your life, you either frame it as stagnation or as transition. Stagnation is a story with no future. Transition is a story in motion. People respond to motion even when the speed is slow. Machiavelli would say that the prince who can name his strategy aloud, even in difficult times, maintains the confidence of his people. The prince who admits confusion loses their loyalty. You do not need to lie. You need to stop narrating your doubts as if they are the whole story. You are allowed to be uncertain and still frame yourself as someone moving forward. The two are not contradictory. They are just different layers of the same reality, and you get to choose which layer people see. Here is the old version. Someone asks what you are doing with your life. You sigh and say you are still figuring it out, still not sure, still trying to find your way. They nod politely and mentally file you under stuck. Here is the same question with controlled narrative. You tell them you are in a transition phase, experimenting with a few directions, building skills quietly, and being deliberate about your next move. The facts are the same. The framing is different, and framing determines how they treat you afterward. One version makes you sound lost. The other makes you sound intentional. The instruction is this: stop describing your current phase as being behind or figuring it out. Start calling it what it actually is: a transition, a rebuild, a recalibration, or a strategic pause. The words you use to describe yourself become the words others use to define you. Choose them carefully. Number 5, the refusal to perform stability. Most people who feel behind spend enormous energy trying to look fine. They perform calm when they feel chaos. They fake certainty when they are confused. They pretend to be stable because they think instability will be punished. Machiavelli would recognize this as a dangerous waste of resources. The prince who spends all his energy maintaining appearances has no energy left to actually build power. You are doing the same thing. You are so focused on not looking behind that you have no bandwidth left to actually move forward. This is the trap of performance. It drains you without producing results. Machiavelli's advice was brutal but clear. Do not waste energy pretending to be what you are not. Spend that energy becoming what you need to be. The difference is everything. The modern version of this is exhausting yourself with self-monitoring. You edit every conversation. You curate every post. You measure every word to make sure no one sees the uncertainty underneath. And while you are doing this, people who are actually behind you, but better at performing confidence, are getting ahead. They are not smarter. They are not more capable. They just stopped wasting energy on looking perfect and started using that energy to build leverage. Machiavelli would tell you that the appearance of strength is useful, but it cannot replace actual preparation. If you spend all your time managing how you look, you never develop the substance that makes looking strong unnecessary. Here is the old version. You are terrified of being seen as uncertain, so you avoid deep conversations. You decline opportunities that might expose your gaps. You stay small to stay safe. You perform stability, and it costs you everything. Here is the same life with strategic honesty. You stop pretending you have it all together. You do not broadcast chaos, but you also do not waste energy faking perfection. You focus that energy on learning, building, and positioning yourself. You let some people see that you are in process, and you stop caring if that makes you look unfinished. Because unfinished with momentum is more powerful than polished, but static. The instruction is this: identify one area where you are performing stability that you do not actually feel. Stop the performance. Redirect that energy into one concrete action that moves you forward, even if it is small. Let the performance drop, and let the progress begin. The old version of you approached the feeling of being behind with shame, comparison, and urgency. You believed that time was running out, that everyone else had a map you never received, and that your only option was to speed up and catch up. You made decisions to calm anxiety instead of serve alignment. You performed stability you did not feel. You measured yourself against timelines you never chose. And you bled energy trying to explain yourself to people who were never going to understand the complexity of your path. That version of you was not weak. It was just operating from the wrong framework. You were playing a game designed to make you feel inadequate, so you would keep chasing external validation instead of building internal sovereignty. The new version of you understands something Machiavelli knew 500 years ago. People respond to incentives, not intentions. They judge by what they see, not by what is true. And the person who controls their narrative, their visibility, and their timing has more power than the person who is further along but cannot manage perception. You no longer see being behind as a moral failure. You see it as a temporary position in a longer game. You stop giving people access to your doubts. You reject borrowed timelines and replace them with sovereign ones. You refuse to make urgency-driven decisions just to feel normal. You frame your current phase as transition, not stagnation. And you stop wasting energy on performing stability, redirecting that energy into building leverage, skills, and positioning. This is not about becoming cold. This is about becoming clear. Machiavelli did not teach cruelty for its own sake. He taught precision in a world that punishes confusion. You are not behind. You are in a phase that requires strategic patience, controlled visibility, and the refusal to be judged by metrics that were never designed for your reality. The transformation is not external. It is internal. The thinking changes first. The results follow. If you close this video and change nothing, it becomes entertainment instead of a weapon. Machiavelli did not write The Prince so people could nod along and go back to being passive. He wrote it so they could see power clearly and act accordingly. You now have 5 frameworks. If you do not use them in the next 24 hours, they will fade into the same mental clutter as every other piece of advice you have consumed and ignored. So here is what you are going to do. Choose one borrowed timeline you have been judging yourself against and consciously reject it. Write it down. Then write why it does not serve you. Choose one conversation in the next day where someone will ask about your life, and practice controlled visibility. Do not over-explain. Do not apologize. Give them a clean, forward-facing answer and nothing more. Identify one decision you are being pressured to make out of urgency, and delay it by 30 days. Let the panic fade and see what clarity remains. Stop describing yourself as behind or figuring it out. Replace those phrases with transition, recalibration, or strategic pause, and use that language in at least one interaction. Finally, identify one area where you are performing stability you do not feel, and redirect that energy into one concrete action that builds real leverage. Do at least one of these in the next 24 hours. If you want more modern problems dissected through Machiavelli's lens, subscribe and stay alert. The world rewards clarity and punishes hesitation. You have the frameworks. Now prove you can use them.